She wasn't there to beg. She came to look for work. That morning, her mother had fainted again from a strange sickness they couldn't name. At the clinic, the nurse had shouted, "If you don't bring money today, we'll send your mother away." Those words echoed in Rachel's head as she stood by the roadside watching cars zoom past. She didn't know any rich person, but she had heard stories. Stories about Mr. Jaden Williams, the famous billionaire who owned the tallest building in the city. People said he was powerful, strict, and cold-hearted. Still, Rachel didn't care. She wiped her tears with the edge of her torn dress and walked straight into the big building everyone called Williams Tower. Inside, the marble floors shone like mirrors. The air smelled of air conditioner and money. People turned to stare at her. A dirty little girl in a faded dress, barefoot, standing in the middle of luxury. Whose child is this? Her security guard barked. "Go back home. This is not a playground." But Rachel didn't move. She looked up with trembling eyes and said softly, "Please, sir, I want to walk. I'm not here to beg." The guard laughed so loud that people turned to look. "Walk. You go home, small girl." But still, Rachel didn't go. She sat quietly on the cold floor near the reception, clutching her nylon bag like it was her only treasure. That was when Lizzie, a kind-hearted woman who worked as a CEO's secretary, noticed her. She knelt beside the girl. "Little one, what's your name?" "Rachel," the girl whispered, tears glistening in her big brown eyes. "My mommy is very sick. They want to chase her away from the hospital. I don't want money. I just want to work to help her." Lisa's heart melted instantly. She took Rachel's tiny hand gently. "Come with me," she said softly. People whispered as they walked by, some shaking their heads, others smiling sadly. The elevator doors opened, and Lizzie led Rachel to the very top floor to Mr. Jaden Williams' office. Inside, the billionaire sat behind his massive glass desk, signing papers. His face was as cold and serious as everyone said. "Sir," Lizzie began nervously. "Someone's here to see you." Without looking up, he snapped. "I'm busy. Tell them to wait or come back later." It's a child," she whispered. "She says she wants to work for you." Jaden froze slowly. He raised his head. And there she was, little Rachel, standing quietly, her dusty feet pressed together, holding a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing, a small picture made with crayons. It showed a little girl giving a flower to a tall man. Under it, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Please let me walk. I will clean your shoes. I will help. My mommy is dying." Silence filled the office. Jaden stared at the drawing, then at the small girl before him. Her hair was messy, her cheeks dirty, but her eyes, they were pure. He slowly stood up. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice suddenly gentle. "I'm Rachel," she said softly. "I can wash, sweep, or run errands. Please, sir, don't let my mommy die. I don't want her to go like my daddy." Jaden's face softened. Something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he remembered his own daughter, the one he lost when she was just 6. He walked around his desk, knelt before Rachel, and took the drawing from her trembling hands. "You want to work?" "Yes, sir." "Then come," he said quietly, stretching his hand toward her. Everyone in the office gasped. The man who never smiled, the cold billionaire, just held a poor girl's hand. Jaden walked her downstairs himself, ignoring the stares and whispers. When they got to his car, he opened the door and said, "Let's go see your mother." Rachel's heart jumped with joy. She nodded quickly, holding his hand tightly as they entered the car. Inside the big black vehicle, Rachel sat beside him, her legs dangling above the floor. She kept stealing small glances at the man everyone feared. But today, he didn't look scary. He looked human. He kept staring at her drawing, tracing the crayon marks with his fingers. His hands trembled slightly. "Sir," Rachel whispered. "Do you really want to help my mommy?" "Yes," Jaden said, turning to her. "What's her name?" "Her name is Mabel. She's my mommy and my best friend." She never complains, even when she's crying. Jaden gave a faint smile, the first real smile he had shown in months. When they reached the hospital, he frowned. The walls were cracked, the paint peeling, and the nurses looked tired. Rachel ran ahead barefoot. "Roommate," she called. "That's my mommy's room." Jaden followed. Closely behind. Inside, a pale woman lay weakly on the bed, eyes closed. Rachel ran to her and grabbed her hand. "Mommy, I brought someone. He said he will help." Mabel opened her eyes slowly. "Rachel, where did you go?" "I went to find a job, Mommy." Rachel smiled through tears. "So you won't die like Daddy?" Jaden stepped forward quietly. "My name is Jaden Williams," he said softly. "I'm Rachel's friend and I want to help." Before Mabel could respond, a nurse entered angrily. "You again?" She snapped at Rachel. "We told you." "How much is the bill?" Jaden interrupted firmly. The nurse froze. 150,000 naira for treatment and 50,000 for previous bills. Jaden pulled out his phone. "Send the account details now. Move her to a private ward and call your best doctor here in 5 minutes." The nurse blinked. "So, are you a family member?" Jaden looked up sharply. "No, I'm the man who will shut this hospital down if you waste one more second." The nurse ran out immediately. Rachel looked at him in awe. "Sir," she whispered. "Are you an angel?" Jaden knelt beside her. "No," he said softly. "But maybe you are." If you are enjoying this story, please hit the like button and share with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel for more interesting emotional stories like this one. Moments later, Mabel was moved to a cleaner room. Nurses who had shouted earlier now spoke kindly. Rachel sat beside her mother, holding her hand. Jaden sat quietly near the window, deep in thought. Something had changed in him. Something he hadn't felt in years. Warmth. Later that day, Lizzie arrived with new clothes for Rachel. Jaden also brought her food. Jollof rice, meat, and juice. As she ate happily, she looked at him and asked, "So, can I still work for you?" He smiled faintly. "Why do you want to work so badly?" "Because I don't want to owe anyone," she said, seriously. "And I want to help my mommy. Since you are helping us, I want to help you, too. Even if it's to sweep your floor." Jaden's chest tightened. This small girl had more dignity than most adults he knew. Just then, his phone rang. It was his board of directors. An emergency meeting. He sighed and stood up. "Rachel, I have to go now, but I'll be back tomorrow." "Okay, sir," she said, waving. Before leaving, Jaden placed a brown envelope beside Mabel's bed. Inside was 500,000 Nigerians, enough for treatment and comfort. He didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away quietly. As his car drove off, Jaden stayed through the window, thinking of the little girl who had walked into his building and somehow into his heart. The next morning, the entire Jaden Williams group was buzzing with whispers. Secretaries, managers, and cleaners all had one topic: the mysterious little girl. "Did you hear what happened yesterday?" one staff whispered. The boss came in holding the hand of a small dirty girl. "Who is she?" another asked. "Maybe his lost daughter." "No." "Oh, they said she's some poor girl who came to beg for work." Laughter followed in corners. Some people mocked, some rolled their eyes, and others pretended not to care. But Lizzie, the kind staff who had brought Rachel to the office the day before, said nothing. She knew the truth and her heart was still touched by it. At exactly 9:30 a.m., the elevator doors slid open. Every head turned. There she was, Rachel. But this time, she wasn't barefoot. She wore a simple pink dress that Lizzie had bought for her, and her hair was neatly packed into 2 fluffy puffs. She still held her little nylon bag, but her eyes looked brighter, her steps more confident. And beside her was Mr. Jaden Williams himself. He held her hand gently as they walked through the glittering lobby. The air went quiet. The sound of heels stopped. Papers froze midi. Everyone just stared. "She's back with the boss." "Oh, this is getting strange." Jaden stopped halfway, turned toward the crowd, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is Rachel," he said clearly. "She is my special assistant. Starting today, anyone who disrespects her disrespects me." The entire floor fell silent. Mouths hung open. Some people forced smiles, others looked shocked, and a few couldn't hide their envy. Jaden didn't care. He simply led Rachel to his private office, the biggest in the building.